So Anderson, this is really not your first fight week, not your first fight week in Brazil. At this stage of your career, going into this, like starting out the week, starting the activities, is there still excitement? Do you still get like a little, do you still get amped up? How are the emotions coming into yet another fight week?
The same for the last fight, and I'm so happy to be here again in Brazil and fight in my country. You know, that's very important for me, and especially because I don't know when I back to fight here in Brazil. You know, I'm so happy.
And you have, I think, one of the most iconic walkouts. I think when people, like when you walk out to the cage and the song, like you're one of those that people remember. How is it to do that in Rio and have the crowd like yelling for you? Like what is going through your head? What are you feeling when you're doing that?
Wow, Rio is very special for me, you know, because the people in Brazil have the different energy, you know. When you go inside the cage here in Brazil, you feeling the real energy. It's completely different for the different country and the different fans, UFC fans in the world. Here in Brazil, the energy is different.
I think we were hearing from, I think it was maybe your dad in the countdown, and he was talking about how interesting it is that at this stage of your career, you're still so motivated to train, you're still so driven, like you're still so into it. What is the secret? Like what gets you up every morning to go train?
So I don't think so this is secret, you know. I think it's about how much you love your job, how much you have a passion in continuing doing something special for your fans, you know. And for me it's about love. I love my sport, and I love my job, my second job.
Your second job?
Yeah.
What is your first job?
My first job is good man and father.
Yeah, speaking of father, are your kids all going to be here for this one?
No, I think just João come to see my fight because Gabriel, Khalil, Kawana, and Kaori stay in the university and it can't come.
Oh, they're all in the university already?
Yes.
Time flies.
Wow. Crazy.
Do any of them fight or are looking into it?
Yeah, Gabriel start training and have big plans for fight professional, but it's so young. You need to start training and let's go see the future.
You're coming off a very interesting fight. You didn't win, but it was, I think, everybody just kind of like, the focus was all on how well you did. I think people maybe were expecting, weren't expecting you to do as well as you did against such a young opponent who had been doing so well. And you seem pretty happy with it, despite the fact that it wasn't the result and that you obviously wanted it. And I was reading another interview that you gave, and you were talking about how at this stage in your career, it isn't as much about winning and losing as maybe, you know, it was or it is for fighters at different points of their careers.
You know, so the people talking about everything in this sport, you know, and because you fight for young guys or you feeling old and blah, 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 but it's not about that. It's about how much you feeling confident, how much you accept the challenge in your life. You know, it doesn't matter is inside the cage or outside, in your personal life or in your professional life. You need to accept and say, thank you, God, and keep going, you know, working hard and never give up, you know. And of course, in my sport, in MMA, it's different because sometimes you don't have control. Because it's two big guys, it's two big, strong fighters, and both go inside the cage for win. And you need to stay completely confident about how much you're training for the fight, you know. And your life is the same. You need to stay completely confident about you working hard and you try to make your life better and pass good energy, you know. And that's the great point. That's the great secret about, it's not about professional life or fight, but for your personal life, you know.
You brought up a word that you use a lot, challenge. Because I think whenever we ask, why did you do this? Why did you do that? You always, it's a common answer for you. I took it for the challenge. At this point, what is the challenge? Like, what challenges you? What do you look at fight-wise that you're like intrigued about it? Where is the challenge?
For me, the good challenge is 44. New talent come in this sport, and I'm continuing here, and I'm continue doing my best and continue working hard for my sport and my companies, and this is very special, you know. That's the challenge for my mind, for my body, for my team, and this is amazing, you know, because wow, I remember when I start my career inside UFC, and I look at today and say, wow, I'm continuing here because I see and everybody look at the new version for the new fighters, and the old fighters stop, and I'm continuing here. I'm so happy, you know.
Yeah, since you mentioned that, I think it was a Kombachi story that they did with you, and they were looking back on old interviews. And there was one, I don't remember when, but years ago, when you said that you were almost like, you didn't see yourself fighting for that much longer. And now here we are, and you're still fighting. What changed?
You know, you come more old, you take more experience. You see, you watching your life in different angle. You look everything in different angle, and you try to using the whole experience for help you to continue, you know. And that's, I try to make my life everything better, every day better, you know. And I try to continue inside this sport because this is amazing and very interesting sport, you know.
Yeah, you talked about being 44, and I think one saying that people often use is, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. But you're still going to the gym every day, and you're still working. Like, do you feel like you're still learning? Are there times at the gym when you're like, oh, this is something new, I guess? Like, are you still evolving?
Everything, every day, when you're in your training, you have your partners, and you have your friends, and they come training and come to help you. And these people come to different technique, and is about you absorb the new technique, the new experience, and something new one, you know, because every single person will have something special for pass for you, for me, and it's about feeling, you know. And I try to absorb the good energy from my partners, from my friends, and in this point in my career, I just learn all martial arts and practice every single day, and I'm staying in completely focused because it's very, very, very important.
You talked about training with a lot of like younger people, and I think there are some adjustments that you have to make. And you brought that up when we talked a few weeks ago about just like you're not as quick to recover maybe as before, so you need to make a few tweaks here and there in training. But when you show up to train with these much younger guys every day, how do you feel? Like, how does your body feel? Do you feel like you're still like going toe to toe with them?
You know, I'm feel confident because my partners helped me a lot. Is young, and the guys fighting in the different events, and give me the challenge every day, every time when I go to sparring and I training, and I feeling the guys push me hard and try to help me to doing my best, you know, and that's incredible. I'm so happy, you know, because it's the same. I talked to you. I'm continue doing something special, you know, special, not for my fans, but for myself.
Yeah.
You know.
Speaking of this fight, particularly with Jared, I think that was a name that not everybody was expecting. I think it was kind of like, wow, interesting. I don't think it's a matchup that a lot of people had in mind. When they gave you this name, like, what was the process? Did you accept it right away? What did you think of it?
Yeah, you know, when I finished my fight in Australia, I talked to my managers, and talked to Dana for giving me a chance for fight in Brazil, because I don't know when I have the new chance for fight in Brazil, especially because I'm fighting for 2 years, you know, and I take the fight for Israel, and take this fight because I feel in the moment, you know, and this is the great opportunity for me and my team, because I have the big continuation for the training, for the camp training for Australia, and continue here, and I'm ready for this fight, and maybe I'm take the new fight after that, but let's go see, you know, because the timing is the only one you don't have control, you know, because the timing is very fast.
What do you mean maybe take the new fight after that?
Oh, I don't know, because, you know, maybe I finish this fight Saturday and take the new one. I don't know the schedule for UFC and my schedule, but let's go see.
Okay. Yeah, okay. And I talked to Jared before, and I mean, obviously he has the weight of fighting Anderson Silva. He knows that your name and your legacy, and he was saying that he was able to kind of like let that go and not think about that and just see an opponent. Do you think that that's possible? Like that he's able to go in there and forget?
It's very difficult talking about my opponent or talk about what happened in the mind of my opponent, but I think it's a very interesting moment for me and my opponent, because this is the great event in Brazil, and a lot of people come to watch in this event because it's a good card, and let's go see, you know, it's a very interesting. I think it's a big show come Saturday.
And you've always made no secret of the fact that rankings don't always matter that much when it comes to like title fights and everything like that, because there's the business behind everything.
I don't believe in too much in rank, because in this point, I think Dana White tried to put in the good fighters, interesting fighters, and good names, and good fighting for big fans UFC, you know, because it's not about ranking. Because when you're talking about ranking, everything is completely crazy. But when you put in the two big fighters, two big names, oh, that makes sense, you know, and that's my vision, you know, and I agree that, you know, UFC is not regular sport. It's a great sport, but it's not regular. It's about business show, you know, and the old fans watching UFC because have something special inside the sport, you know, and everything's happen fast in UFC. Sometimes you stay in the home, you watching TV and boom, you stay ready, you go to fight. You're not ready, you chance pass fast, you know. That's the point. I training every day and never stop training.
Do you, that was my way of like introducing this question. Do you see a title in your future still? Is that something that you really want to do?
You know, I have more fights in my contract, you know, 3 or 4, I don't know how much. But now that's my focus, you know, my next fight, and continue to do my best, you know. And of course, I have the new chance for fight for the belt. Of course, I go. Why not?
But you did talk, when we talked, you mentioned that you were totally happy with what you've accomplished so far. Like if you were to retire without the belt, you could be happy with what you did. Now, and of course, you've accomplished a lot, not just in sports, but you're in Brazil, like we know that you're a big star outside of just sports. But now, looking forward into your future, what's left for you to accomplish? And I don't mean just in fighting, like, do you still have goals or things that you still want to do?
Well, goals inside this sport, I think it's the next fight, and the next fight, and the next fight, and the next challenge in my life. But I think I don't need to prove nothing for anybody inside the sport, because I try to make everything special for a long time in this sport. And now I just continue, do my best, putting my heart inside the cage and doing special show for my fans.
Speaking of a special show for your fans, on Saturday you're going to get a chance to do that. When you played in your head, when you see the fight, how do you see this one going and ending? Do you want to make it like spectacular for the Brazilian fans? Like, how are you going?
No, I just keep straight my focus and go to the fight and try to win. That's my goal. That's the goal to my team. And let's go see.
And the last thing for me, you've talked about repeatedly super fights in the past. Not just you, people, you know, wanted those fights with you. I think when we think of the super fights, we think of Conor McGregor, but you also talked about wanting to fight Diaz.
You know, Conor is the very interesting super fight, you know.
Yeah.
But that's the good question for Dana, you know, because Conor say, okay, I accept the fight for Anderson, and I say, okay, I accept the fight for Conor, and it's two big names. And the same I talk to you. So UFC is not about, it's not respect too much the rank, but the big show for the fans, you know. That company is about entertaining, and let's go doing something special for the fans, you know. Let's go see.
And Roy Jones Jr., how does that
You know, Roy Jones, I respect. I'm a big fan. I believe in Roy Jones. In your time, is for long years the best boxing champion in the world, and I respect. I talked to Mr. Roy sometimes, and let's go see, you know.